I have 3 things to talk about today. Visa, homestay, classes. So, yesterday I went to get my visa. Actually, I just applied for it, but went to the French consulate and brought like 50 million documents, brought like everything they needed. Look, my list. Of course, I was stupid and didn't put any of this together until the day before, so 2 days ago. So it was a little stressful. I went with my dad from where I go to school, which is Ann Arbor, to where I live, which is near Grand Rapids, all the way down to Chicago. So, okay, that was not one trip, but so I went back with my dad on Wednesday night, went down to Chicago on Thursday morning. Then on the way back, we went just like straight to Ann Arbor from Chicago. But yeah, it was just like a lot of driving for hardly even being in Chicago. Like, I was in Chicago for maybe an hour and a half. The visit itself was a little anticlimactic. We just like went to, it was just like up to a window, up to a counter, and then you talk to them through the glass, and it was weird, and then you put them, like give them your documents, and they're like, okay, this is everything, thanks. And then I take a picture of you, and then you're done. The most exciting like minute of the day probably have to be right before my appointment. So we come up to this sign on the wall, and it says like all the numbers, like pointing different ways, like this is this office this way and this office this way. And like over on the side I saw a little sign that said visas, and an arrow pointing around the corner. And I was like, well, I'm getting a visa, but the number for the office I was supposed to go to, 3700, was pointing the other way. So I was like, on my paper it says 3700 and that points this way. So I went that way. So I go up to the desk and the guy's like, bonjour, and I'm like, bonjour, and it was fine. And then I was like, I have an appointment here at 12:10, and he's like, un rendezvous? And I know what this means. I know it means an appointment, but in the heat of the moment I could not remember what it was. I think it's just because like I was expecting him to speak in English, but then he responded in French, and so I didn't know what to do. So my response was 12:10. And then the next thing he says, je ne te comprends pas, which means I don't understand you. Which, in hindsight, I don't really believe. I mean, you have to be able to speak English to live in Chicago, and I was saying 12:10. It's 2 numbers. How can you, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't know his English numbers, but I have a feeling that he said that because he's just annoyed with me and wanted me to leave, because I'm sure he gets a ton of people who are there for the French consulate for Americans, but end up coming to the French consulate for French people, which is where he was working. So that was that. A lot of hype for nothing. I actually expected them to speak French to me more than they did, because the actual visa appointment was all in English. But like, I read an article online, and the woman was like, they're speaking in French to me and I didn't know how to respond. But they were fine. The people at the French consulate for Americans, they're really nice. So that's that for visa. I mean, it's in the works. It should be here in like 2 weeks hopefully, which is cutting it close, but it's fine. I'll get it. Next up on my list, homestay. Trying to figure out this whole housing thing has been kind of ridiculous. In previous videos I've told you just how much I've wanted to be in a homestay, and how I've always wanted to stay with a family. That was actually one of the main reasons why I chose this program, is because I had the option to stay with a host family. They told me that if they were going to find a family for me, they would tell me by mid-November. A few weeks passed, another week, and I heard nothing. Then one day I get an email and it says, congratulations, you have received a room in such and such dorm. And I'm like, no, I has to be in a homestay. And so I was kind of freaking out about it. At first I was like, did they mess up? Did they mean to send this to me? And I didn't know if it was an accident or if that meant they hadn't found a host family for me, because they never told me. They never said, like, sorry to tell you, but we haven't found you a homestay family. So they never said anything like that. In order to clarify things, I emailed the lady who was arranging the housing, and I was like, is this a mistake? Was I supposed to be assigned a dorm room? Does this mean that I didn't get a host family? A couple days later, I get an email, and the lady was like, unfortunately, we are unable to find a host family for you. And I was crushed. I was so crushed. I was really, really, really sad, because it's something that I just wanted for so long. But I started to come to terms with it. One of the reasons why I didn't want to be in a dorm is because I thought that I'd be secluded with other English-speaking international students and I wouldn't get exposed to the French language. Anyway, the dorms supposedly are really nice, and also you are mixed up with not only other French students, but you're mixed up with people from all the different universities in the area. So I was thinking, okay, I won't be in a little English bubble. I will have the opportunity to meet French people my age. It was like shaping up to be better than I thought it would be before I applied. But then a couple days later, I got another email, and it said, we actually may have found you a host family. I'm going to meet with them in a couple days and I'll let you know. But instead of being super excited about it, I was actually kind of taken aback, because I had just come to terms with the fact that I was going to live in a dorm, and now they're telling me that they might have found me a host family. But I was like, okay, we'll wait and see what happens. So a couple days after that, I got another email. And this one said, yes, we have found you a host family, and they attached a couple of pictures of the room, and I'll show that here. My housemates. My housemates. Hello? Forget what I was talking about now. I was actually feeling kind of mixed emotions about it though, because I had just spent a long time trying to convince myself that dorms were the better alternative, and now here they're telling me that they had a host family for me, and did I want it? First I thought homestay was the best choice. Now I had resigned myself to dorms and was thinking that that would be the better option, and now here they're telling me that they have a room for me. So I ended up saying yes, I want to live there, because I was like, this is what I've always wanted, and you can't really experience anything like this again. Fast forward a couple days, again to yesterday actually, so that was fun. I get another email, and it says, unfortunately, the family has rescinded their offer. Apparently the student who's living there now decided to stay another semester, so room's no longer available. I had been thinking that I was going to make a video saying, yay, I got a host family, but my plans have been turned around yet again, and those pictures that I showed you, unfortunately that will not be my room. I'll show a picture now of what the dorm looks like. So yeah, like I said, the dorms should be pretty nice, and I think there are a lot of pros to the dorms. It just sucks because, okay, at first I was sure I would get a homestay. Then they tell me, you actually have a dorm. Then they say, oh, we have a homestay for you. Now they're like, you're back in the dorms. I'm actually okay with it because I've gone through the emotions of like having a homestay to not having a homestay, and so yes, I'm sad, but not as sad as I probably would be if I hadn't gone through it already once. Okay, well that's item number 2, no homestay for Rachel. Third on my list, classes. So I have a list of things that I'm looking at, a list of classes that I may potentially take, but I won't actually be able to sign up for classes until I get there. So also, something that's really frustrating when trying to figure out these classes is a lot of them don't even have syllabi online. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to take, and I don't even know what the class is about. Since I'm an engineer and I'm going to a school that doesn't have engineering classes at all, I will be taking classes for my minor, which is the international minor for engineers. So on my list here are a bunch of classes that are hopefully maybe internationally focused. I'll read off a few that I have in mind so far. So I have Multicultural Canada, Contemporary China, Culture and Society in France, Culture, Valeurs, Identité, Culture, Values and Identities, International Human Rights, International Relations and Humanitarian Crisis, La France dans le monde, France in the world, Contemporary International Relations. So yeah, I have to pick those and submit them for credit evaluation, but it's a little overwhelming because I feel like I don't have enough information to decide. Ugh. Well, that's it. I've covered everything that I need to cover, everything on my list. Kind of ironic, today is December 6th, 2014, and exactly a month from now, January 6th, 2014, will be the first day of my orientation at Aix-en-Provence. Well, that's it for this video. Until next time, thanks for watching. I want you back.